Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. India have beaten Pakistan by 7 wickets in Ahmedabad. Regarding the 11s of both teams, starting off with India, Shubman Gill I didn't expect to play this game, even though it was said that it'd be a 99% certainty to start, and he was slotted in for this game with his opening partner, the captain Rohit Sharma. I expected them to go with Shardul Thakur and Mohammad Siraj, and they did. And from a Pakistan perspective, they went with the same 11 that they went with against Sri Lanka. And I think for them, they didn't really have too much to think about because unlike India, where you've got to play Siraj or Shami, Ashwin or Shardul Thakur, who's going to open, who's going to bat at 5, so on and so forth. For Pakistan, that was the 11 that they could go with, and it reduced complication for them going to this game. And India, Rohit Sharma won the toss and chose to field first. Now, I didn't think this was ideal, but as I said in my previous video, whether India batted first or bowled first, I thought they would be able to compete whether they did either. For Pakistan, I thought winning the toss and batting first was imperative for them to succeed, and even though Babar Azam didn't win the toss, he got his way in the end. The Pakistan openers walked out to bat and they both looked good. From an Indian point of view, I thought Jasprit Bumrah only gave 5 runs in his first 3 overs, and while there wasn't a great deal of movement, with the action that he has and therefore the angle that he's able to create, he helped curtail the runs. Unfortunately, Mohammad Siraj looked to extract movement. There wasn't too much, and that's why he went for runs, especially in his first 2 overs. And in my previous video, I said that I would have played Mohammad Shami ahead of Mohammad Siraj, as his record in Ahmedabad is very good. And with how Mohammad Siraj started off, I thought my concerns were materializing. And with the first wicket, how it fell, I was very happy with the way Mohammad Siraj bounced back after a tough start. India needed a wicket at that stage, and Abdullah Shafiq was wrapped on the pads of the bowling of him, and he was adjudged LBW. And with what he did for this wicket was that, since he knew he wasn't getting much movement, he held the ball cross seam and relied on the on variation off the surface. The ball seamed in and wrapped Abdullah Shafiq on the patch. So I think with whatever I said, the fact that, and this wasn't the first wicket he got using that method, and with whatever I'd said before, I thought it was very good adaptation from him. A mini partnership ensued between Imam al-Haq and Babar Azam. And I thought during this partnership and during the next one, India were at a threat of realizing things the hard way, where if you're looking at the 4 bowlers I talked about in my previous video, where I'd said, right, if the batting side gets a good start in the first 10 overs, you've got Ravindra Jadeja, a defensive bowler. And if Kuldeep Yadav doesn't get wickets in the first 3 or 4 overs that he bowls, yes, he finished with 2 for 34 in his 10. But if he didn't get wickets in the first 3 or 4 overs that he bowled, you've got, as I said, Jadeja, a defensive bowler, Hardik Pandya giving 28 runs in the first 4 overs that he bowled, and Shardul Thakur only bowling 2 overs throughout the entire inning. So have you got that assurance there in the middle overs to bounce back if the opposition get off to a good start in the first 10? No, you haven't. Which is why I've been saying so many times, they should have played someone like a Ravichandran Ashwin, who has got both gears, an offensive gear and a defensive gear. Where even if Kuldeep Yadav didn't get wickets early on in his quota, you've got an Ashwin who, along with Jadeja, is a defensive bowler. Ashwin could have bought that offensive and defensive gear. And I felt without Ashwin being included in the 11, it wouldn't have been a case for Pakistan where you've got that roadblock where even if you get off to a good start, you've got to be on the top of your game and in terms of looking to take an advantage. With Ashwin being there, he would have used his craft to make sure Pakistan wouldn't have been able to get through that mini partnership and the partnership that followed, in my view. And India were under threat of realizing that. And luckily for them, Hardik Pandya got the wicket of Imam al-Haq, the ball seaming away a fraction, and the ball took the outside edge and the catch was taken by KL Rahul. And I'll be honest, I didn't quite understand the captaincy in the first 20 odd overs of this innings. In the early stages of the 3rd wicket partnership, you bowl Shardul Thakur for 2 overs and then you don't bowl him again. I've said before, if you're not bowling him when if he's got the tag of being the guy with the golden arm, you saw even against Afghanistan, he didn't bowl when the partnership was going well between Hashmatullah Shaidi and Azmatullah Omarzai. In this case, I didn't get why he had to bowl so early to Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan. And this may sound bad from an Indian point of view, but I thought it was a bit lazy to bring him on then, simply because what's the cricketing reason to bring him on? You bring on someone like a Jasprit Bumrah who they should have brought on, then you think, right, he can put pressure on those 2, and with the threat that he possesses, he can dismiss at least one of those 2. Anyone else who Rohit Sharma had brought to that point in time, you would have thought, right, with the threat that they possess, they could have maybe looked to do something. But he bought on Shardul Thakur simply because he's got the tag of being the guy with the golden arm. He bought 2 overs, wasn't really that threatening, and was taken off. And I thought, if the partnership is relatively 40 runs old, then if you bring on Shardul Thakur, then okay. But when you've got the option of bringing on Jasprit Bumrah, who's only bought 4 overs until then, you bring on Shardul Thakur. I thought it was a bit of a lazy move just because he's got the tag of being the guy with the golden arm. And there's a rhetoric going around that Rohit Sharma in India's bowling innings was attacking and he was loaded for it. However, what I would say is that for the first 27 or so overs of the Pakistan batting innings, and with one selection call that he took, I thought India didn't have much of an answer with how Pakistan were going. In terms of the checkpoints as to where you should look to be as a batting side at a certain stage, around the halfway stage, I'd said if you're 125 to 130 for 2 at this venue, you're doing well for yourself. Pakistan were 125 for 2 with a set Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan. I think they went at a runner ball for the next 4 or 5 overs after that point, and they were looking to get a score above 300. And it took some intelligence from Mohammad Siraj once again going with holding the ball cross seam, got the ball to seam back in to Babar Azam, and he was dismissed after scoring a very good 50. That was the wicket that sparked the collapse. And in terms of attacking captaincy, what Rohit Sharma did then was bring back his strike bowler on Jasprit Bumrah, and you saw what he did, dismissing Babar Azam by bowling that off cutter, and that really put Pakistan in dire straits from then on. So I wouldn't say that, especially for just over half of the innings, he was at his best in terms of his captaincy. In fact, I actually thought for the first half things were quite ordinary. But in terms of bringing back his strike bowler, that was what he did. And Bumrah had 6 overs as well, so he could really look to attack the latter half of Pakistan's batting order. And that was what helped India after the 3rd wicket fell. But I will still say, had Mohammad Siraj not provided that moment of inspiration when India needed it, Pakistan were well on their way to getting above 300, and in terms of people loading the captaincy now, it would have looked a very different picture had Pakistan continued going on their way and if they'd got to 300. And so Mohammad Siraj, what I'd say is, credit where it's due. You saw with the wicket of Abdullah Shafiq and the wicket of Babar Azam that when he saw he wasn't getting movement by conventional means, with the way he likes to go about things, he held the ball cross seam, got the ball to seam in off the surface, and I thought, yes, he was slightly expended today, but with the 2 moments of inspiration, that was what India needed at those points in time. And after the wicket of Babar Azam fell, it was a bit of a procession. You thought with Saud Shakeel in, yes, he's the best player of spin in Pakistan, but I thought the earlier you get number 5 in for Pakistan, things look a bit precarious for them. They're never too far away from a collapse. And you saw that happened. Saud Shakeel has been going well so far, was dismissed LBW off the bowling of Kuldeep Yadav. And then if they got him with a bit of luck where the ball didn't turn at all, it was outside the leg stump and he was played on and back onto his stumps. And Pakistan, after being 155 for 2, looking set to get above 300, they collapsed to 191. And India would have been very happy going into the innings break. On how the Indian bowlers went, Jasprit Bumrah once again outstanding today, 2 for 19 in the 7 overs. And there wasn't much movement up front, but with the action that he's got and therefore the angle that he's able to create, that's how he kept things in check, and once again a great performance from him. Mohammad Siraj, slightly expensive, but with those 2 moments of inspiration that he provided when India needed it, I thought he can still be happy with this performance. Hardik Pandya not at his best today, but got the vital wicket of Imam Ul-Haq where even that partnership was going good. Kuldeep Yadav 2 for 35 in his 10, and Ravindra Jadeja 2 for 38 and 9.5, where I think in the latter stages of the Babar Azam Mohammad Rizwan partnership, they got a few relatively quiet overs in, and after the wicket of Babar Azam fell, they then both capitalised, and that's why they've got an economy rate of less than 4. And Shardul Thakur, none for 12 in his 2. Now, what I'm going to say may sound a bit flippant, especially since India won the game, but I did think this even before the game was played. In terms of a cricketing challenge, did I think this game was going to be the biggest challenge India would be facing in this group stage? No, I didn't. But the game I did think, and the game I do think would be the challenge, would be the next game they play against New Zealand in Dharamshala, where especially if New Zealand bowl first, it would be quite a handful to deal with for the Indian batsmen. And that's why Preferably, I'd want them to play Ashwin ahead of Shardul Thakur. However, if you're not going to play Ashwin, like what Bangladesh did, in that case they've got two players who can bat in the top 6 and give them 20 overs in Mehdi Hasan Miraj and Shakib Al Hasan, and they've got the 3 quicks. For India, you've got 2 players in the top 7 who can give you 20 overs overall in Hardik Pandya and Ravindra Jadeja. And in terms of the other 3 bowlers, since you've already got the seamer in Hardik Pandya, they could play Jaseed Bumrah, Kuldeep Yadav, and you've got Mohammad Siraj. And you've got 5 bowlers there. So what you could do is you've only bowled Shardul Thakur for 2 overs in this game. Against Afghanistan when the partnership was going well, you haven't bowled him then. In this game when the partnership was going well, you lazily just let him bowl for the first 2 overs and then you just knew things weren't going to happen and then you took him off. And in the case where there's a lot of purchase for the seamers, you've got Bumrah, Siraj, Hardik Pandya, where Shardul Thakur is going to be the 4th option out of those. So how often are you really going to bowl him in terms of an attacking option? You'd think not too much. And if he isn't going to bowl many overs, which I don't think he would do, bring in Suryakumar Yadav if you're not going to bring in Ravichandran Ashwin, and strengthen your batting with Jadeja at 7 and the former at 8. And I think that would bode well for them going to that game, because with how often or how really Shardul Thakur isn't bowling in the games, and he's rarely even completed his 10 over quota in quite a few games where he is bowled. So I don't think it's necessary to play him if you're not going to bowl him, and he would be playing as a bowling all-rounder in this side, considering being batting at number 8. And even in terms of his batting, looking at his stats, I think he scored 150 in the last 2 years, and that 50, and I'm not putting him on the spot or anything here, but he scored 150 in the last 2 years, and that 50 was against South Africa, where on a slow pass surface he gave 72 runs in 10 overs and then scored 50 or 43 when it was tough for India to win the game at that stage, and it was an unbeaten 50. So really, since that or around that, he hasn't done too much with the bat, and you're not bowling him. So you could play Ravichandran Ashwin, where, like I said, if you're looking for someone to go with both gears offensively and defensively, he would be a great option. Or if you're thinking we're only going to bowl these 5 bowlers, then play Suryakumar Yadav at number 7, Jadeja at 8 to really strengthen your batting, and you will need that facing New Zealand in Dharamshala. On the second innings, I will get to Pakistan very soon. Rohit Sharma, a fantastic 86 of 63 for him, and we saw what he did against Afghanistan in the previous game. And while I don't think his captaincy for the first 27 overs of the first innings was that great, I still thought with the semi-aggressive way he looks to go in the power play, you've got the Pakistan new ball combination where Shaheen Afridi hasn't been at his best in the first 2 games before this. Hassan Ali, is he a Naseem Shah? I don't think he is. So if Shaheen Shah Afridi had got all to do in the first 10 overs, and if he didn't get things quite right again, then Rohit Sharma, who has been going semi-aggressively in the power play for a while now, could look to take his chances and affect what he has affected. And especially since India were chasing a low total, then I thought the opportunity was there for Rohit Sharma to do what he has done, and he did that very well today. A good 50 for Shreyas Iyer, where especially he faced a few deliveries from Harsh Shroff at upwards of 145 kph, short balls, and he played them well. Even in the first game out of 2 in the Asia Cup against Pakistan, he pulled that delivery straight to the fielder. So I think in this part of the world, playing the short ball, at times he's gone well against it. He's played a few nice shots, and seeing that positive as well as a 50 he scored today, I think it was good for him. And now on the Pakistan bowling, I'd said this even in my previous video, the blueprint of this Pakistan side is for their seamers to go full tilt against the opposition bang on a parry on, get a few wickets, and then you've got a Shadab Khan who revels in the pressure that's been created by the former taking place. Now looking at the opening duo for Pakistan here, you've got Shaheen Shah Afridi, who hasn't been at his best for the first 3 games of their campaign now, and his pace seems slightly down. Is Hassan Ali and Naseem Shah? I don't think he is, and this was mentioned by Waqar Yunus on commentary that apart from Shaheen Shah Afridi, have you got that second attacking outlet in the absence of Naseem Shah? I don't think you have, and especially if the former in Shaheen Shah Afridi hasn't been at his best, then Rohit Sharma in this game chasing a low score, where in the last while, like I've said, he's been looking to go semi-aggressively in the power play. If Shaheen continues not to be at his best and Hassan Ali isn't being that attacking outlet that Naseem Shah has been, then Rohit Sharma would fancy his chances, and you saw what he did today. And from a captaincy point of view, I don't know why Mohammad Nawaz was brought on ahead of Shadab Khan, where I'd even said this when I reviewed and previewed India's game against Afghanistan, that Rohit Sharma early on has got a weakness against wrist spin. You saw in that game, Noor Ahmed didn't play, and India were 78 without loss, chasing 273, and they were at that score in 8 overs. And who did the captain bring on? Azmatullah Omarzai, who got 7 wickets in 15 games. What I would have done is brought on Rashid Khan earlier, because you didn't have a choice. Because if Rohit Sharma was going, you saw with the way he did, the game was done there and there. And in this case, defending a low score when Rohit Sharma was attacking the seamers, I would have brought on Shadab Khan ahead of Mohammad Nawaz to try and exploit that weakness of Rohit Sharma against wrist spin early on. You've got Virat Kohli batting there as well, and that's why I thought you could have brought Shadab Khan on before he's bowling to a well-set Rohit Sharma and the best spin hitter in India in Shreyas Iyer. So I didn't understand why he was introduced as the last introduction out of the 5 bowlers. And on Haris Rauf, if you saw the deliveries that he bowled today, the deliveries that were above 145 kph are the ones that were resulted in a good economy. I thought a few times he bowled slow deliveries that Rohit Sharma took to them. Even the 6 that he hit over extra cover, yes, a good shot, but you saw it was bowled in the slot and the bowler did this, and I don't know why Haris Rauf, especially after seeing that, you saw after that point, the deliveries that he bowled at least 144 kph are the ones that were economical. So yeah, I thought he got that wrong there. And in terms of this Pakistan bowling lineup, like I said, they've lost form at the wrong time, and they've got the crucial injury to Naseem Shah that changes the complexion of their bowling attack. And especially in the case where you've got a batting lineup that I think you did see the top 4, which I talked about in the previous game, where in terms of solidity, they went well. And until Babar Azam was dismissed in the 30th over, India didn't have too many answers to how Pakistan were going, and the latter were looking to get above 300 with the foundation that was being set. Unfortunately, after that point, they kind of lost the plot from there and they collapsed. And it was what I said in the previous video, that you've got a solid batting lineup kind of against a better bowling side, where as solid as the former would be, the bowling side will still test them. But for India, a lineup that relatively likes to take more liberties than the Pakistan lineup, but you've got a case where the bowling attack, after losing form at the wrong time, especially when defending a low total today, were they going to be able to really put on enough pressure? I don't think they would have been able to, and that's why we saw India weren't under any pressure at all, even from the first ball. So how can Pakistan sort their bowling out? Now, this wasn't suggested by me, this was suggested a short while back, but I agree with it. I think Mohammad Nawaz should open the bowling alongside Shaheen Shah Afridi. Now, why would that be the case? Hassan Ali has taken wickets, but he's gone for runs, and when you've got 2 seamers going for runs early on, it doesn't bode well for Pakistan in the bowling innings. And that's why, since Mohammad Nawaz is a defensive spinner, and that too, in batting friendly services in this part of the world, even then, the spinners have better economy rates than the seamers, and so you could still back Mohammad Nawaz to do all the new ball. This would give confidence to Shaheen Afridi that while he looks to attack on one end, the runs would still be kept in check more often than not at the other, with Mohammad Nawaz going the way he would go, and Shaheen can look to attack at full throttle given that confidence. And in place of Hassan Ali, you could play Wasim Jr. along with Haris Rauf and Shadab Khan to attack through the middle overs. This is the only way Pakistan can go about things with the current form of their attack and who they've got at their disposal in the absence of Naseem Shah. Because I think their next game is against Australia. Now, however they go against Sri Lanka, I think Australia would be happy batting on a surface where the ball comes onto the bat more. And if they win the toss and choose to bat first, and if you've got Shaheen Shah Afridi who still hasn't got back into form, and you've got Hassan Ali going for runs, then the foundation will be set, and Pakistan could be chasing a 330 score, which their batting lineup, yes, they chased that score down against Sri Lanka, but it would not be as easy here. And I repeat, they notoriously aren't a great chasing side, and anything above 280 they struggle with. And that's why I would go with Mohammad Nawaz to open the bowling alongside Shaheen to give the latter confidence to go full throttle and attack. And in terms of the batting, like I've said before, if Abdullah Shafiq hadn't scored a century, I would have gone with Saud Shakil and Agha Salman Saud Shakil to open the batting and Agha Salman to bat at 5. I think they should go with that 11 in Bengal because given the batting friendly nature of the surface, I think you have a need to get on with things a bit more. Solchaki has demonstrated the skills of being a makeshift opener in this part of the world, and I will reward him with the opportunity. And Aga Salman can get on with things at 5, so that's why I'd go with that. But in terms of Mohammad Nawaz opening the bowling, and at some venues, Solchaki opening and Aga Salman at 5 would be the best way to go for Pakistan. And yeah, let's see how they go. And on this game, a great win for India. I still don't think Pakistan are out of things by any means, but they've got a few weaknesses in their side, especially with their bowling, and know how to address them. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?